The internet, a complex web of information, ones and zeros intertwined, a digital realm where shadows can hide and secrets can remain buried, or sometimes exposed for all to see. In the case of Amber Coplin, the digital world became a silent witness. It held the chilling evidence of a crime that shook a quiet community to its core. A crime that exposed the dark side lurking beneath a surface of tranquility. And a crime that left a family shattered, forever haunted by the question, why? The image, stark and cold, reflected the brutal reality of Amber's fate. Her life, so full of warmth and love, extinguished by an act of senseless violence. The digital breadcrumbs left behind by her killer painted a horrifying picture, a chilling narrative of obsession, rage, and ultimately, murder. The story began in a place that belied the darkness it held, a place where the natural beauty seemed to promise peace and serenity, a place called Port Orchard. Nestled on the shores of Puget Sound, Port Orchard, Washington exudes a deceptive tranquility. The air, often misty and fresh, carries the scent of salt water and pine. The town, small and seemingly idyllic, embodies a slower pace of life. Neighbors know each other, children play freely, and the natural beauty of the Pacific Northwest provides a stunning backdrop. But beneath this tranquil facade, darkness can fester. The beauty of Port Orchard stood in stark contrast to the horror that unfolded within its borders. The quaint houses and charming shops held their breath, as if aware of the unspeakable act that had transpired. The gentle lapping of the waves against the shore seemed to whisper a mournful dirge. The very air, once vibrant with the promise of a new day, now hung heavy with grief and disbelief. In the heart of this seemingly idyllic community, Amber Coplin, a young mother, lived a life dedicated to her children. Amber Coplin was a beacon of warmth and love. Her smile, bright and infectious, could light up a room. Her laughter, genuine and heartfelt, was a melody that brought joy to those around her. As a single mother, Amber faced her share of challenges, but her resilience and determination shone through. Her children were her world, and she fought tirelessly to provide them with a happy and stable life. Amber's friends described her as a true friend, always willing to lend a helping hand or offer a shoulder to cry on. Her neighbors knew her as a kind and caring presence, always ready with a smile and a friendly wave. Behind closed doors, Amber faced personal struggles, but she never let them overshadow her love for her children or her inherent kindness. She was a fighter, a survivor, determined to create a better future for herself and her family. Little did she know that her strength and determination would be tested in the most unimaginable way. David Kalik, the man who would forever be linked to Amber Coplin's tragic fate, was a study in contrasts. Outwardly, he could appear charming and charismatic, but beneath the surface lurked a darkness that few could have imagined. Haunted by a troubled past, Kalik grappled with addiction and mental health issues. His life, a series of poor choices and missed opportunities, stood in stark contrast to Amber's unwavering spirit. Kalik's criminal history painted a disturbing picture. Arrests for assault, harassment, and violation of protection orders hinted at a deep-seated anger and a blatant disregard for the law. His addiction issues, fueled by a need to escape his demons, further clouded his judgment and fueled his volatile nature. Those who knew him best described him as unpredictable and often menacing, a man teetering on the edge, capable of great charm one moment and terrifying rage the next. It was this volatile cocktail of anger, addiction, and despair that would ultimately lead to tragedy. Section 5, The Shadow Descends, A Fateful Encounter. The paths of Amber Coplin and David Kalik intersected with, well, a chilling inevitability. Their relationship, a tangled web of fleeting intimacy and escalating conflict, quickly spiraled out of control. Kalik's possessiveness and jealousy, fueled by his inner demons, turned increasingly volatile. Amber, sensing the danger, tried to distance herself, but it was a desperate race against time, a race she was destined to lose. The details of Amber's final hours are too harrowing to recount in full. Suffice it to say that Kalik's rage, fueled by alcohol and a cocktail of narcotics, reached a fever pitch. The violence he inflicted upon Amber was brutal, senseless, and utterly heartbreaking. Her life, so full of promise and love, was extinguished in a torrent of unimaginable cruelty. The serene beauty of Port Orchard was forever tainted by the darkness of Kalik's actions. Justice for Amber. The investigation unfolds. The discovery of Amber Coplin's body sent shockwaves through Port Orchard. The tranquil facade of the community shattered, replaced by a collective gasp of horror and disbelief. As investigators descended upon the scene, the full scope of Kalik's depravity became horrifyingly clear. The evidence, both physical and digital, painted a gruesome picture of violence and premeditation, a picture that would forever be seared into the minds of those who dared to look. The digital breadcrumbs Kalik left behind were particularly damning. Text messages, social media posts, and even photographs taken during and after the murder served as chilling testaments to his guilt. The evidence, meticulously gathered and analyzed, formed an unbreakable chain, leading directly back to Kalik. The manhunt for Amber's killer was swift and relentless. Law enforcement agencies from across the region joined forces, determined to bring her killer to justice. The pressure was on, the clock was ticking, and the eyes of the nation watched as the investigation unfolded. Voices from the heart, reflections on loss and longing. The impact of Amber Coplin's murder rippled far beyond the picturesque shores of Port Orchard. Her family, left to grapple with the unimaginable pain of her loss, struggled to make sense of the senseless. Their voices, choked with grief and disbelief, painted a heart-wrenching portrait of a life cut tragically short. Their words, raw and powerful, served as a stark reminder of the human cost of violence. She was the best mom, Amber's mother shared, her voice trembling with emotion. Her children were her world, she would have done anything for them. Amber's sister, her eyes red-rimmed from crying, added, "She had so much life left to live, so many dreams she wanted to fulfill. It's not fair." The pain in their voices was palpable, a testament to the depth of their loss. Their words, echoing the sentiments of countless others touched by tragedy, served as a poignant reminder of the preciousness of life and the devastating consequences of violence. The verdict and its aftermath, seeking closure, finding hope. The trial of David Kalik was a harrowing ordeal for all involved. The prosecution, armed with a mountain of evidence, presented a compelling case. They meticulously laid out the timeline of events, highlighting the brutality of the crime and the cold, calculated nature of Kalik's actions. The defense, facing an uphill battle, attempted to paint a picture of a man consumed by addiction, his judgment clouded by drugs and alcohol. In the end, the jury's verdict was swift and decisive: guilty. The judge, visibly moved by the gravity of the case, sentenced Kalik to life in prison without the possibility of parole. While nothing could bring Amber back, the verdict brought a sense of closure to her family, and a measure of justice to the community forever scarred by her loss. But the story didn't end there. Amber's legacy lived on, not in the shadow of her murder, but in the hearts of those who loved her. A community united, remembering Amber, preventing future tragedies. The murder of Amber Coplin sent shockwaves through Port Orchard and beyond, serving as a stark reminder that even in the most idyllic of settings, darkness can lurk. Yet, from the ashes of tragedy, a glimmer of hope emerged. The community, united in grief and outrage, rallied around Amber's family, offering support, solace, and a shoulder to cry on. Candlelight vigils were held, memorials were erected, and scholarships were established in her name. But perhaps the most enduring legacy of Amber Coplin's tragedy was a renewed commitment to preventing such horrors from happening again. Domestic violence awareness programs received increased funding, support groups for victims and their families flourished, and law enforcement agencies strengthened their resolve to identify and address the warning signs of domestic abuse. Amber's death, while a devastating loss, served as a catalyst for change, a stark reminder that silence is never the answer, and that by working together, we can create a world where violence is not tolerated and where every life is cherished.